Many months ago, I put out a video where I took your hot takes and reacted to them. And since then, I've put up on Instagram for you to send your hot takes into me probably close to like 10 times and not used a single one. I really wish I had an elaborate excuse like something happened to my Instagram account, but no, I'm just kind of lazy. I even started some hot take scripts and just abandoned them halfway through. But now that I'm uploading more this summer, there's gonna be more filler videos. This is one of them. I still have big videos in the pipeline, like another ultimate review of a huge park I'm visiting this summer, but I will let that park remain nameless until that video comes out. Anyways, enough babbling, let's get into the hot takes. So now that I finally rode Jersey Devil, I can confidently talk about this in my videos. Not that I usually follow that rule to begin with. And I gotta say, Jersey Devil isn't really as bad as people made it out to be. I don't know if they fixed it or something, but when I rode it, it was running pretty solid. Like, it wasn't slow by any means. And it's not like I waited till the end of the day or it was a super hot day or something. Like, no, I actually rode this ride relatively early, so I wasn't like tweaking the conditions of the ride. Now, even with all that said, it's not even close to the best of the park. El Toro literally takes a crap all over this ride, and I wouldn't even put this ride over Nitro. Like, it's good, but it's not that good. Like, to be the best in the park, that would mean this ride would have to be a classic. You know, those rides that become instant classics where everyone almost unanimously agrees that it's fire. The last one we had was probably VelociCoaster, and I guess maybe Iron Gwazi, but I'm gonna let that stew a little more before calling that a classic, because I think there's recency bias there. But like, if this were the best in the park, this would have to be in the same league as, you know, obviously El Toro, Fury, Steel Vengeance, X2, and like I said, VelociCoaster, which it's just not. It's not a bad ride, it's just not the best one either. Okay, this is one of those that I'm completely not qualified to talk about because I haven't been on either of those, but that's kind of why I wanted to touch on this. Is Fury good? Like, I know it's supposed to be an amazing ride and whatnot, but like, to me, it just kind of looks like a lot of high-speed turns with a really good first drop. And you know, it also is made up of a lot of high-speed turns. And we all know how I feel about that one. I'm not saying Fury is bad because obviously it's not. I just don't really understand the appeal of that much. But again, I haven't ridden it, so I'm not really qualified to have an opinion on it. I haven't ridden Twisted Timbers either, but I've ridden other RMCs, so I can kind of get the feel of it and piece together what's going on here. If you prefer a more aggressive ride with a lot of ejector, then like, duh, yeah, Twisted Timbers will be your thing. And if you want a more graceful ride that's intense in a different way, then Fury is gonna be your winner here. But that's just like common sense. These are completely two different rides. It's like comparing apples and oranges, and even though I do that in other videos all the time, I still haven't been in these rides, so I can't really speak on it. There are a lot of hot takes about Hagrid's for some reason, but I'm choosing to do this one because this is the one I feel like people are going to disagree most with. I, however, do not. If you saw my top 25, you saw I really like Hagrid's. Like, I really do. These two are only separated by one spot, but that gap is pretty big, and that spot is pretty high up. Hagrid's is a magical ride. Okay, wait. That sounded stupid. I swear I'm not getting paid off by Universal to say that. It just slipped. It gives me a feeling that I don't get on a lot of coasters, and it's the same feeling that propelled Cheetah Hunt to my #1 spot way back when. But even without that feeling, I would still prefer Hagrid's. Like, Mako is the best B&M hyper I've been on. But the thing is, I've been on 3 B&M hypers. There's only one Hagrid's, and its ride system is so unique from any out there. The way Intamin uses its technology to tell a story is like straight out of a child's imagination. It is so perfect. It's just a much more dynamic ride than Mako. It's literally built in a forest. There's on-ride audio, an actual theme, animatronics scattered everywhere, a drop track, multiple launchers, and a reverse section. And it's all on these motorbike vehicles. It's just so much cooler than those clamshells that you get on Mako. Not this in the clamshells though, those are still one of my favorite restraints. Overall, I just like Hagrid's better because it's a more complete experience, but obviously I understand if you like Mako better. Now, while I do agree with the sentiment that airtime is a bit overrated and inversions are a bit under, I wouldn't take it to this extreme. Like, yeah, maybe a 0G roll is better than like a weak floater hill, but like, I would still take a good camelback over like 95% of inversions. Inversions can be more unique, however. Like, airtime is pretty one note, but that doesn't make inversions better overall. Like, there are some really cool inversions out there, but there are also an infinite amount of copy and paste boring ones, like dive loops or corkscrews and all that. And some of those are really well done, like Batman the Ride's corkscrews or VelociCoaster's dive loop. But do you ever really ride VelociCoaster for the dive loop? No, you ride it for the top hat or the outer bank. I will say though, I prefer the best inversions over the best airtime moments. Like, I'd probably take the Mosasaurus roll on VelociCoaster over El Toro's first drop. Disagree all you want in the comments, but that thing is fire and it doesn't really compare to any airtime moments. Maverick's ejector camelback is nice, but personally I'm more of a twisted horseshoe roll kind of guy. You know, sometimes I hear myself speak and I think like it would actually sound like alien talk to anyone who doesn't know about roller coasters. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that I agree with you for some of the best of each. The best inversions I would take over the best airtime moments, but for the most part, I would take average airtime moments over average inversions because average inversions are kind of boring. So I kind of agree, but I kind of don't agree. Okay, the person phrased this one kind of weird. It's a little corny. I'll put it up on screen. But for this one, I'd say it really depends on what you define as a hyper. First, if you're counting hyper hybrids, then it's not even the best hyper in the park. I'm not going to argue with anyone who doesn't agree that Steel Avengers is better than Magnum. I'm just not. Plus, there's Angrazi, which I haven't been on, but I can almost guarantee that it would be better than Magnum. Then there's untraditional hypers like Skyrush and Steel Curtain. I way prefer Skyrush over Magnum, but I also prefer it over El Toro, so take my opinion with what you will. And I haven't been on Steel Curtain, so I can't really speak on that, but it is an inversion-based coaster that all look pretty average, so, you know, I'd probably take Magnum over it. If you cut that all out, then you leave Magnum against mostly the B&M hypers and like the Superman hyper coasters at various Six Flags parks. If you prefer a more aggressive hyper with a lot of character and charm, then I could totally see why you think Magnum would be the best in the US. But if you focus on a smoother, more calculated ride, then I could see why maybe Mako or Superman the Ride or, you know, other traditional hypers would be. Me personally, Magnum sits around my 12th or so spot, maybe 11th, I don't know. It's between 15 and 10, but it certainly is not higher than Mako, Nitro, Skyrush, and Steve. So no, I do not agree, but I do see where you're coming from. Okay, I don't know how much of a hot take this is, but this is something I want to touch on. I didn't make a CGA video because the last time I did a current events video, it immediately became irrelevant. But I do want to touch on this here because this take is just, it's just terrible. Why would they scrap a whole park? That makes no sense. I get maybe Gold Striker not being relocated because it's wooden, but like Railblazer is literally a clone. And a new one too. There's literally no reason for them not to relocate it. It could do wonders for a small park like Worlds of Fun, you know, that hasn't seen coasters in ages. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go through all the coasters in a speed run to see where they would be relocated. Gold Striker. Like I said, this ain't going anywhere. It's kind of stuck because it's wooden. Plus, even if they could relocate it somehow, it's already apparently really rough, and I'm sure relocating it would only worsen that problem. Flight Deck. This one is a tricky one because on one hand, this looks like a pretty solid invert, and I'm sure a lot of smaller Cedar Fair parks could really benefit from it. But on the other hand, this is kind of a terrain coaster. It's not super terrainy like Nemesis or something, but it does hug the building it goes by pretty tightly. And the ending helix is literally built to hug the water. But if they did relocate it, I think it would be good at a park like King's Dominion. This park desperately needs an invert of some sort, and it seems like the perfect opportunity to put one in. Before, the biggest concern was that it wasn't really worth the investment with Alpengeist, but you know, this wasn't really a big investment at all. Relocating is way cheaper than building ground up, and this could complement that growing King's Dominion lineup without being too big of an investment for what it is. Also, I could see this as an excuse to remove Anaconda, so Flight Deck could use the lake. So everybody wins. Patriot. So originally I was gonna put Flight Deck at Valleyfair, but I feel like Patriot makes more sense. Valleyfair already has an Intimate Impulse, which while isn't a lot like a B&M invert, it looks close enough that I don't think Cedar Fair would want to move it here. Patriot just seems like a better choice because you could market the floorless feature. And then Demon's getting scrapped because that ride looks terrible. I don't really know how hot this is, but I would completely agree. Comet's airtime was really unexpected and really fun. Lightning Racer really just didn't do anything for me. Like, look at the official POV. What is this? This isn't slowed down. This is just how slow the ride goes for a good portion of the ride on their official POV. I don't really know why people would regard this highly in the grand scheme of GCIs and definitely within this park. Like, there are just so many better rides than Hershey, and Comet is one of them. It's not even close. Comet is just better in every aspect. It has better airtime and better location, it looks better and has better laterals. The one thing GCIs usually have over PTCs regardless of the ride is pacing, but the pacing is so bad in this ride, I genuinely think that Comet's, even though it has the slow sections where it turns, is better. At least those turns are paid off with a nice drop with ejector. On Lightning Racers, it's just a slow slog to the finish line. I don't hate Lightning Racer as a ride. Actually, that's not true. It kind of sucks. So yes, I completely agree with this take 100%. And that's just gonna about wrap up this video on hot takes. Wow, I'm actually surprised I finally made it. And hey, depending on how well it does, maybe I'll make some more hot take videos. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and I will see you in the next one.